everyone, and welcome to today's program. My name is Lizette Gabriel, and I work as a librarian in the Business and Economics Department here at the Los Angeles Public Library. Today's program is Basics of Taxes. This program is brought to you by the Koreatown Youth Community Center, or as it's known by its acronym, KYCC, and our presenter for today is Taylor Lee. Before we start, just a few housekeeping tips or details. If you encounter any technical issues, please put them in the comment box and I will try to help and address them for you. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them in the comment box and we will answer them at the end of our presentation. All right, so, another thing before I forget, this program is being recorded. So it will be available on the library's YouTube channel after it ends, okay? And then hopefully I've reached all our housekeeping tips. I believe I have. All right, so now I'm going to pass the presentation over to Taylor.
Thank you, Lizette. Thank you for having me. Like Lizette mentioned, my name is Taylor Lee. I'm from Koreatown Youth Community Center, also known as KYCC. We are a nonprofit going around, I think, almost 50 years. We've been around for quite a long time, serving the needs of the Koreatown community, but also the needs of LA and LA County and beyond. So hopefully we can kind of enlighten you on some of your tax obligations, and we want to make tax season stress-free for you. So we're going to start off with a couple questions from our presentation here. We've got tax tips and everything you should know for 2024. And we're going to start with a question here. You can just put the number in the comments. As you see, we'll take a couple minutes here, but how did you file your taxes last year? 1, I paid someone or a company to file my taxes. 2, I had a family member help me. 3, I went to a free tax preparation site. And 4, I did not file my taxes. And there's no right answer here. Any answer is okay, but we'll give it a couple minutes and see how some results. A lot of the people that don't know about Free Tax Prep LA or don't know about Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, which is one of the services we provide, a lot of them pay to file their taxes, and a lot of them have a family member help. So we just want to make sure you guys are aware of an alternative option to those that might be more beneficial to you. But yeah. I know it's a little early. I hope you guys are staying safe amidst all the chaos and craziness of the new year as well, if you're in the LA area. Warm hugs to send out to everyone who's affected for sure. We'll give it another minute here. All right, we're just gonna close up this little poll interaction. I did get an answer that was someone had paid to file their taxes. That's obviously, there are a lot of cases where maybe your only option is to find someone to help you or pay for someone for some assistance on your taxes. But we want to let you know through Free Tax Prep LA that there's many situations and you may be eligible to get your taxes filed for free, which means that there won't be a portion of your refund that will go towards paying a tax preparer. You'll get your full refund. You won't have to pay anybody to get that refund. And we're hoping that can uplift you financially and kind of help you make some investments into your future. But thank you for your participation. We appreciate you guys. All right, and we have one more question. Do you get nervous or stressed when you think about taxes? I know I do. I'm kind of a pseudo tax professional. I am certified to prepare taxes, but it's still sometimes stressful for me. You know, I'll occasionally get a letter from the IRS that I'm worried, you know, why did this happen? What's going on? Don't worry. We can help you with any kind of stress. We want to make sure through knowledge, through empowering you guys through knowledge and education, that you guys don't feel stressed and you guys actually look forward to the refund and the money that you can get back from filing for free. So no worries if you do get nervous or stressed. That's a completely normal reaction. We just want to make sure you don't feel as stressed moving forward, and especially after today's presentation. And all right, we'll just continue. So a little bit more about Free Tax Prep LA. We help you file taxes for free, but who are we? So Free Tax Prep LA Free Tax Prep Los Angeles is a public awareness and education campaign that serves to reduce tax season stress. We're here for you. The campaign is a collaborative effort between the City and County of Los Angeles, Koreatown Youth Community Center, KYCC, and United Way of Greater Los Angeles to promote and support the filing of the Earned Income Tax Credit. Yes, so one of the credits that you can receive, and it's a federal credit, is the Earned Income Tax Credit. Basically, if you make less than around $67,000, you are eligible for this credit. So this is really, really great for low to moderate income individuals and families. And we'll kind of go deeper into that as we go along. But don't worry. We're here to help you, and we're here to answer all of your questions. So, all right, we're going to go over the agenda a little bit. What will we cover today? So you'll have a little bit of an outline of how we're going to flow through the slides. But we're first going to go over federal credits and deductions. Just some terminology for you guys. Credits can get you cash back on your refund, and deductions can help lower the amount of taxes that you owe. So a deduction can lower the amount of tax that you owe. You might not necessarily get a refund from the deduction. However, credits can help you get a cash value amount that will be sent back to you if you are owed a refund. We'll also go over state credits and deductions. So these are different from federal credits and deductions in the sense that they vary by state. So ours will be specific to the state of California. And I think we're very lucky in that aspect. So there's a lot more accessible credits that are state credits that you may not be eligible for the federal side. So be on the lookout for state credits. You may not think you're eligible, but you probably will be eligible for certain state credits. We're also going to go over the individual taxpayer identification number, otherwise known as an ITIN, who should apply and why, and how can we help you with this process. We'll also kind of address some uncertainty regarding new legislation and how we can approach tax season given the information that we're receiving for this upcoming year. We'll go over myths and misconceptions about taxes. Like we said, taxes can be very stressful. Some of the people in the chat are also saying, yes, it's a stressful season for me, but we're here to ease your mind and reduce that stress by addressing some common thoughts that people have, some fears that people might have when they think about tax season. And we just kind of want to make sure we smooth out all the kinks and make you feel comfortable with the tax season coming up. We'll go over some deadlines and important dates. Why wait when you can file for free? Get ahead of the curve by staying on top of tax season. We did get, LA County did get an extension for filing taxes because of the fires and the natural disasters that have happened in just the past couple weeks. So I'll go over that and how we can have a good mindset when we think about the deadline for taxes. And then, of course, there are other ways we can help you. The Free Tax Prep LA Collaborative is committed to providing free and accessible resources to our clients beyond just filing your taxes. So we want to make sure we have holistic care and aftercare. So, once you file, you're not done. We're not done with you. Our relationship doesn't end. If you need any support with anything that happens beyond your tax filing, we want to make sure that you feel taken care of. And we're here to answer all your questions and make sure tax season is not scary. All right, so let's get into it here. Federal tax credits and deductions. We'll go over the Earned Income Tax Credit, which I mentioned earlier. It's one of the nation's largest anti-poverty initiatives, and it's a credit that is for low to moderate income individuals and families to help uplift you guys. We're also going to go over the Child Tax Credit, which is specifically geared towards families with children. Higher education and career training credits. when you file your taxes and you're pursuing higher education, sometimes people thinking, oh no, those two things are at odds. One is, for my future and an investment to my future. Taxes, I have to pay taxes. What's going on here? But actually, we want to support your goals and your pursuits educationally, and there's some credits and deductions that you can get for pursuing those goals and pursuing higher education. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. We don't want taxes and your goals to be at odds at any point. So then we've got deductions for paid student loan interest. Again, just another building block for you if you're paying student loan to help you manage that loan. And there's some deductions that we can get from having paid student loan. All right. What are the benefits of federal credits? And I apologize, some of the slides are a little bit formatting we had a little issue with, but don't worry. I'll go over everything verbatim, so we'll be fine. The Earned Income Tax Credit started in 1975, so that's 50 years of credits this year, which is amazing. Claiming the federal EITC helps individuals meet basic needs, increase economic stability, and reduce financial stress. This is one of the biggest reasons why the Earned Income Tax Credit is one of the nation's largest anti-poverty programs. We're hoping that by claiming this credit, you have a resource available to you to build generational wealth, to uplift your families out of the situation that you're in, and just basically get that process started for you to feel empowered about your finances. In LA, 1 in 5 individuals that are eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit does not file a tax return. This results in almost $600 million going unclaimed each year. That's about 20% of people. When you're in a room with 10 other people, that's you and another person missing out on credits that could be helping you. So the only way to get the EITC or the Earned Income Tax Credit is to file your taxes. So that's why we want to urge you, no matter if you think you're not eligible, if you're eligible, to file your taxes, because you may be receiving a credit that you didn't know you would receive. All right. What is the Earned Income Tax Credit? This credit is considered the nation's largest anti-poverty program. I know I've been saying that a lot, and it's worth up to $8,046 for this tax season. It's a cash benefit for working people who have low to moderate income. So if you make around less than $67,000 or $69,000, and it reduces the amount of tax you owe while also giving the opportunity to receive a refund. So if the credits that you get from filing your taxes surpasses the amount of tax that you owe for that year, you'll receive a cash amount that will be sent to you either in the mail or by direct deposit. And the Earned Income Tax Credit can contribute to that cash amount that you receive. So if you can claim it, definitely claim it. If you're eligible, definitely try and claim it. All right, how do you qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit? Of course, it's really important if you want to get the credit. How do I get the credit? How do I know if I'm eligible? So there's certain requirements. There's an income requirement. Annual incomes below about $61,000 or $62,000 to $69,000, depending on your marital status and the number of dependent children you have, may be eligible for the federal Earned Income Tax Credit. Other eligibility rules include your age and your residency. So if you're between the ages of 25 and 65 before the close of the taxable year, you'll be eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit. You must have lived in the United States for more than 1/2 of the tax year, and you cannot be claimed as a dependent on another return by another taxpayer. One of the important things about these federal credits as well is you must have a valid for work Social Security number for member on the tax return. So all the dependents that you're claiming, if you're filing married jointly with your spouse, you and your spouse must be present and must have Social Security numbers to claim this credit. And this is kind of what makes state credits a little bit more accessible than federal credits. We'll get into it. That's the importance of having an ITIN when you're filing, but we'll get into the details of that in a later slide. So some of the things that earned income does not include, so this can't be included in your annual, $61,000 or $69,000 income range, is interest and dividends, pensions or annuities, Social Security, unemployment benefits, alimony, child support, and there are a couple others there that we couldn't list. But basically, those will not be counted as your earned income. So if you have only Social Security, unfortunately, you would not qualify for the federal EITC, since Social Security would not be considered income. But you might qualify for other credits. So definitely be on the lookout for that. All right, so those are some of the eligibility requirements. Beyond the earned income tax credit, there's more. There's the child tax credit, which is a federal tax credit provided to you if you have a qualifying child. If you qualify for the earned income tax credit and have one or more qualifying children, you probably qualify for the child tax credit. The eligibility requirement for your child or children is that they must be under the age of 17 as of the end of the tax year. So what does this mean? If you have dependents that you're going to claim and they're under the age of 17, you can get up to $2,000 per child as long as they have a valid Social Security number. All right. Next slide. And this is a little bit of a table visualization of what amount of the credit you will receive based on your filing status and the number of qualifying children you have. So if you're not aware, when you file, there are certain statuses that you file under. So if you're single, you'll file under the single filing status. If you are if you don't have a spouse, but you're taking care of dependents and you're managing the household expenses, you would claim head of household. If you're married, filing joint, or filing with your spouse, then you would be married, filing joint. So that's a little bit of a quick summary of the filing statuses. So let's go over an example here. If you're married, filing joint, and you have one qualifying child, your max income to be eligible for the earned income tax credit would be $57,554. The maximum amount of the earned income tax credit you can receive by claiming that child and having and filing married, file joint would be $4,328. And then additionally, because you have a qualifying child, you can claim up to $2,000 for that qualifying child as well. So through the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit, if you're married, filing joint with one qualifying child, you could potentially get a max credit amount of $6,328, which is a pretty substantial amount for just having one qualifying child and being married. A lot of people ask when they see this chart, well, what if I have more than 3 qualifying children? It doesn't show if you have 4, 5, 6 qualifying children. Basically, after your third qualifying child, you've reached the maximum amount of the credits that you can receive. And also you've reached the max income limit that you can have to be eligible. So even if you have 4 qualifying children and you're filing single, let's say, your max income to be eligible will remain $61,555. So even if you have a 5th child or 4th or 5th child, your max income is capped at $61,555. The maximum amount of the earned income tax credit you will receive is $8,046. But for the child tax credit, because the child tax credit is dependent on how many qualifying children you have, even if you have a 4th or 5th qualifying child beyond your 3 qualifying children, you will still receive some amount of the child tax credit per child. It might not be the total $2,000 maximum amount per child, because it depends on how many dependents that you claim, and there's some factors that determine how much you're going to get per qualifying child, but you will get some amount for each child that is a qualifying dependent that you have on your tax return. So while the earned income tax credit and your filing status and the max income eligibility requirement will have a cap after your 3rd qualifying child, for the child tax credit, you'll receive something for every child, which is great. It's just a little bit more cash in your pocket, hopefully. So that's a little bit about how all of the filing nuances and details work together for you to get a refund. All right. So for education, we have a couple of 2 credits that are really vital and that are provided through the federal government. we have the American Opportunity Tax Credit and the Lifetime Learning Credit. So for the American Opportunity Tax Credit, you can receive up to $2,500, which is really, really great to help you for your first 4 years of education. And a portion of that credit is refundable. So there's a possibility that you'll get cash back on your refund. The difference between the Lifetime Learning Credit and the American Opportunity Tax Credit is that the Lifetime Learning Credit, you can get up to $2,000, but it won't be a credit that you can receive cash back potentially. It'll just be a deduction to the tax that you owe. So it can reduce the amount of tax that you owe and your tax obligation, but it won't necessarily contribute to getting money back. It'll help you with any other expenses though, and we'll kind of go over that. The documents that you will need to have to claim these credits are your college financial account statement, receipts for books, computer, and other required course supplies. Unfortunately, things like parking, or if you get a parking ticket because you were in class, expenses don't cover that. But if it's directly related to your coursework, like you have to buy a textbook or there's an online course that you need to sign up for in order to complete the education or that class, then those are things that you might be able to claim as expenses to get a higher deduction on your tax obligation. If you fall under this category where you have a college financial statement, you're going to an accredited university or school, you'll receive a Form 1098-T from your institution. And if there's ever any moment where you feel like you should be receiving that and you're not receiving that from your school, definitely get in touch with your accredited institution and they can get that form to you. So for the American Opportunity Tax Credit, it applies to the filer's first 4 years of higher education, and it must be full-time towards a degree or certification. It doesn't matter if those first 4 years of higher education are straight out of high school, or if they're if you never went to those first 4 years and you decided later on in life that you want to pursue this and complete school, those will still count as your first 4 years of higher education. As long as you're going full time, you will qualify for the American Opportunity Tax Credit. Beyond those first 4 years, because once you've claimed the 4 years, unfortunately, the American Opportunity Tax Credit will not be available to you. But this is where the Lifetime Learning Credit applies. And this will apply to all other higher education, including part-time, or maybe just a certification to improve your skill. Maybe it's something specific to your trade. And if that's something that you're paying for, you could possibly expense that through the Lifetime Learning Credit or get a little bit of financial help with paying for that through the Lifetime Learning Credit. So, like I said, the Lifetime Learning Credit, you can get up to $2,000 benefit. You may not receive a refund, but it might help you pay for that class that certification that you needed to get for your trade or your skill. So, really, really great credits available to you if you want to pursue education, if that's a goal that if you felt like you never had the chance to pursue, or if you're just interested in completing the 4 years of education or getting that certification. We have ways to help you, which is great. All right, some more info on educational credits and deductions, specifically paid student loan interest, as well as the 2 credits that we talked about already. But if student loan interest is interest you paid during the year on a qualified student loan, including both required and voluntary prepaid interest payments. So if you're paying when you're in a grace period or when you don't have to, or whether you have to or not, both count. You can deduct the lesser of $2,500 or the amount of interest you actually paid during the year. So if you paid about $600, $700 of interest, that's the amount that you can deduct. If you've paid $3,000 of interest, you can only deduct up to $2,500. So definitely keep the forms if you have student loan and you're paying it off. This Form 1098, and you're not receiving a Form 1098-E, I would definitely ask for it. And we can get you some deductions on your tax obligation, which is great. Okay, and then just for Form 1098-T, generally students will receive a Form 1098-T from their school, by January 31st. So if you haven't received your 1098-T, I would reach out to your school and make sure you get that tax document before you go to your tax filing appointment. All right. And what about self-employed and gig workers? Don't worry, we see you. We want to help you grow your business. We want to help you get, grow your funding and grow your knowledge when it comes to managing your business too and filing taxes. So self-employed, business, contractor, cash under the table. You can also qualify for EITC. You're just like everybody else, except you might have to be more on top of your tax documents and the receipts that you have. You want to store original receipts related to your business, keep track of your mileage, and seek help from a tax professional that understands your business or industry. That's kind of a good tip, no matter what you're doing with your business. Finding people whose values align with yours, whose industry align with yours, that's always the best way to meet your goals and help grow your business. So being on top of organized documents and also finding someone who aligns with your vision, that helps. Documentation is key for a self-employed tax return. We're going to drill this into you when you come to a free Tax Prep LA site or while you're preparing for your appointment. But keeping records of exact earnings and expenses is very, very important. Maybe some good practices are having a bank account just for business income and expenses. That way your statement is really easy to track. You can see what money is going out and what's coming in. But in general, you want to save your invoices, copies of your check deposits, and anything else, any other expenses or investments that you're making into your business. For a lot of people, some people don't know is when you're working from home or you consider a portion of your home as an office space, that square footage that you're using as your office could be deducted from your expenses as a self-employed gig worker too. So little things like that are things to consider and things that Free Tax Prep LA will help educate you on when you file your taxes with us as well. So, all right. All right, so we're just going to have a little bit of an example here. We have Miss H is a 33-year-old single mother filing as head of household with 2 children ages 6 and 4. She works as a house cleaner, earning roughly $50,000 a year, and is attending a state college for the first time, where she received a 1098-T for tuition expenses. In previous years, she had gone to a paid tax preparer, but this year she heard about Free Tax Prep LA through a TV advertisement and decided to take advantage of the free service. How much will Miss H receive from federal credits? So one, we already know Miss H is going to save money because she's not going to pay someone to file her taxes. She's eligible to file her taxes for free since she makes less than $69,000 a year. So what is she going to get on her refund for this year? Well, she's eligible for the earned income tax credit because she makes less than, for a head of household, she makes less than $65,000, around there, 66, 65. And because of this, she'll claim around $2,412 through the earned income tax credit. She'll also be eligible for the child tax credit because she has her 2 children ages 6 and 4. Both are under the age of 17, so they qualify for the tax credit. And because of this, she'll get up to $2,000 per child. We're going to give her the max amount here, so she's going to get about $4,000 for claiming the child tax credit. And then she's also going to be eligible for the American Opportunity Tax Credit because she's attending state college for the first time. She's going full-time, and it's her first 4 years. So she can get up to $2,500 based on her qualified education expenses from her 1098-T. In total, that's about $9,635. That's almost $10,000 that she's getting back from filing her taxes without ever having to pay anybody, and none of that money will go towards the preparer. This substantial amount, honestly, for a lot of people, is the biggest paycheck that they receive in the year, and this could help manage her household expenses like rent and utilities, school-related costs. She can also use the funds to save for her children's future or for emergency needs, and she was able to get that full amount by choosing a free Tax Prep LA site and not having to pay anybody. All right, that could be you. That could be you. All right, so We're going to go into state tax credits and deductions. These are a little bit more accessible because you can be eligible for them with an individual taxpayer identification number. You don't necessarily need to have a social security number. So in the state of California, these are specific to California. And if you don't live in California, you would not be eligible for these. So we're going to go over ITINs, individual taxpayer identification numbers, and how they can help you claim state tax credits and deductions. We're going to go over the California Earned Income Tax Credit, which is the more accessible state version of the Earned Income Tax Credit. We are also going over the Young Child Tax Credit. Very similarly is the state version of the Child Tax Credit. It's going to give you a little bit of extra funds, a little bit of a boost on your refund if you have qualifying children. We're also going to go over the Foster Youth Tax Credit, which is an initiative in California to help transitional aged youth and system impacted youth get a little bit more help on their refund, get a little bit more of a cash boost for them having gone through the system. All right, so I kind of went over it briefly, but how are state credits different from federal credits? Well, state credits vary by state and are tailored specifically towards the needs of each state's residents. For the state of California, majority of the credits offered allow you to apply as long as you have an individual taxpayer identification number. For your federal credits that you can claim, you must have a valid for work social security number for you and everyone else on your tax return. However, for these state credits, if you have an ITIN or if your dependents have an ITIN, you may still be eligible for these credits even if you're not eligible for the federal side. So you can still get money back. Last year, Free Tax Prep LA assisted over 300 individuals apply for an ITIN so that they can claim credits like the Cali ITC and the YCTC, so the California Earned Income Tax Credit and the Young Child Tax Credit. How were they able to claim these credits? Well, one, we should go over the individual taxpayer identification number. What is an ITIN? An ITIN is used to file your taxes. It's only issued when an individual files for their taxes. It cannot be used for employment. It cannot be used for any other kind of type of proof of residency or employment or anything like that. It's solely for you to meet your tax obligations and make you eligible for certain credits and deductions. The ITIN is for those without a social security number. So taxpayers who do not have a social security number may report income and pay taxes with an individual tax identification number. And in turn, by meeting their tax obligations, you can be eligible for certain credits and deductions through the state. And how do you apply? So to receive an ITIN, taxpayers need to complete a Form W-7 with their tax return, which if you go to a Free Tax Prep LA site, we will help you fill that form out. We have them printed and available. You will have to include proof of identity and proof of foreign status. So these are two different documents that you'll need to bring to your tax appointment. But we'll go over what those documents are and a little bit more in depth on this application process. So I did want to say here that Free Tax Prep LA has a lot of locations throughout LA and LA County that will help you file and apply or renew your ITIN for free, completely for free. We'll help you every step of the way. We've had taxpayers come into our office who have an ITIN and have paid to get that ITIN application or process, and they've paid up to $500 or $600 just to apply. We really want to make sure you guys avoid fees like that. So if you are eligible, definitely try and find a Free Tax Prep LA site because we don't want you to pay for an ITIN. You don't need to pay for an ITIN. We can help you do that. All right, so how do you apply? What do I need to bring in order to apply for an ITIN? Acceptable documents that prove identity and or foreign status. Well, there is one document that does prove both. So if you have a valid passport, that will meet both requirements. So that one document, that one passport will fulfill your proof of identity and proof of foreign status. However, if you are unable to bring your passport to your tax appointment, you can have just proof of identity or one of these documents as your proof of identity. So either a national identification card, foreign voters registration card, your visa, U.S. citizenship and immigration services photo identification. Any one of those four will prove as your proof of identity. So you can bring that document and that'll check that box for you. In terms of proof of foreign status, either your U.S. driver's license, a foreign driver's license, U.S. state identification card, or U.S. military identification card. So if you're going to your appointment and you don't have a passport, you need one proof of identity and one proof of foreign status. So you'll need two documents in order to apply for an ITIN. For children or for dependents, they must have a civil birth certificate if they're under the age of 18, medical records if they're under the age of 6, and school records if they're under 14, and if you're unable to get a civil birth certificate if they're under the age of 18, if you have a school record for them, that'll count as well. So these are all the things. A passport is the best document or the easiest document, the most convenient document for you to bring if you are trying to apply or renew your ITIN. But if you don't have access to that, one proof of identity and one proof of foreign status. All right. So what is the California Earned Income Tax Credit? Now that you guys know you don't need to have a social security number, you can have an ITIN, and you know the process of getting an ITIN. How do we get these credits? So this accessible credit is worth up to $3,644 as long as you have either a social security number or an ITIN, and as long as you have lived in California as your main home for more than half the tax year. So if you've lived in the East Coast, if you're a New Yorker and you're coming to visit California for a month or two, unfortunately, these credits are not for you. But if you're a California resident, you can claim these credits. All right. How do you qualify? Well, the income limit is a little bit different for the California credits. As long as you make less than $31,000, well, actually closer to $32,000, around $31,950. If you make less than that amount, then you'll be eligible for the California Earned Income Tax Credit, as well as you'll be highly likely that you're eligible for the other California state credits as well. You must be at least 18 years old or have a qualifying child, because if you have a qualifying child, then you could qualify for the young child tax credit. So if you're at least 18 or have a qualifying child, you'll be eligible. You must have a valid social security number or ITIN for yourself, your spouse, and any qualifying children. And you cannot be claimed as a qualifying child of another taxpayer. So if someone is claiming you as a dependent, unfortunately, you will not be eligible for the state earned income tax credit. Qualifying child rules. Generally, a qualifying child must live with the eligible individual for more than one half of the tax year, must be under the age of 19 unless the child is a full-time student under the age of 24, or the child is permanently and totally disabled. Only one person can claim a qualifying child. So if you and your spouse are filing separately, or you guys are separated and filing your tax returns separate, not together, only one of you can claim. If you have a single child, only one of you can claim that child as a dependent. Both of you cannot claim the same child. And this applies to the federal credits as well. Same rules for qualifying child. Only one person can claim them, and there are certain age restrictions too. All right. So for the young child tax credit, this is very similar to the child tax credit. It's geared towards families with children, but it's a little bit more accessible because you can apply for it if you have an ITIN. You don't necessarily need to have a social security number. So if you qualify for the Cali ITC and you have a qualifying child, then you qualify for the young child tax credit. Your child must be under the age of 6 as of the end of the tax year. So rather than under the age of 19 for the young child tax credit, they have to be a little bit younger. They have to be under the age of 6, but that means an additional $1,154 on your tax return, as long as you and your dependents have either Social Security or an ITIN. One of the great things about this credit as well that makes it super, super accessible to Californians is even if you have zero income, as long as you have a qualifying child, you can claim the young child tax credit, which is great. All right. Like we mentioned earlier, there's also a tax credit to help system-impacted youth or transitional age youth. That's the foster youth tax credit. The eligibility is an age requirement, residency requirement, and an income limit. The income limit is the same as the California Earned Income Tax Credit eligibility limit. Generally, if you make between $1, which we only put $1 to represent basically zero income, we can't put zero, but basically if you make between $1 and around $32,000 annually, you qualify. As long as you are between the ages of 18 and 25 and have been in foster care at age 13 or older through California's foster care system. So if you are eligible to claim the Cali ITC and you can prove your foster care status from the age of 13 or older, you will be eligible for the foster youth tax credit. And that will mean an additional $1,154 on your tax return, or if you and your spouse are filing jointly and the foster youth tax credit applies to both of you, you are both system impacted and you have foster care verification, then you can receive up to $2,308, which is just double the amount. So for each of you, you'll get $1,154. But definitely want to support system impacted youth and make sure they're getting all the refund that they can get on their tax return. So we got another chart here, very similar to when we kind of dissected the federal tax benefits. We've got state tax benefits. The maximum income is a little different than the federal side, because the federal side, your filing status would determine your maximum income limit. But for your state tax benefits, regardless of your filing status, the maximum income to be eligible for the state credits is going to be $31,950. So even if you're married filing joint, or if you're single, it's going to be the same income limit. If you have 0 children, you're not going to receive any amount of the young child tax credit because you don't have any qualifying children. But let's say if you have 3, or if we have 3, maximum income is going to be $31,950. You'll receive the maximum amount of the California Earned Income Tax Credit, which is $3,644, and you will receive $1,154 for the young child tax credit, and that will be the max amount. Unlike the federal child tax credit, as long as you have at least one qualifying child, it'll be a flat amount that you receive from the young child tax credit. So you'll receive $1,154 for the child tax credit, regardless of whether you have 4 qualifying children, or 1 qualifying child. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then for foster youth tax credit, really doesn't matter about how many qualifying children you have or what your filing status is, as long as you can prove your foster care status and you have those documents, you'll get $1,154 on your tax return through the foster youth tax credit, which is great. All right. Okay. So very similar to Miss H, we're going to meet Mr. C and see how much of the California tax credits he qualifies for given his situation. So Mr. C is 23 years old and has a 2-year-old child with his girlfriend. He does not have a Social Security number and needs assistance to apply for an individual taxpayer identification number, or an ITIN, through Free Tax Prep LA. Initially, he looked into other paid preparers, but found that applying for an ITIN would cost him an additional $200 to $400, an expense he couldn't afford with his income of around $29,000 a year. Fortunately, by using Free Tax Prep LA, Mr. C was able to apply for his ITIN at no extra cost and successfully qualify for tax credits. So what does this mean for the refund that he will receive? With an ITIN, he can file his taxes and claim key state credits. One of these credits will be the Earned Income Tax Credit for California, the Cali ITC, and he can qualify for around $250 in state credits based on his income. Let's keep in mind he does also have a 2-year-old child, which would be a qualifying child for the child tax credit, or for the young child tax credit. So through that, he can also receive up to $1,083, which it's changed for this tax year, $1,154 from California for his child under the age of 6, which in total would be around $1,333 for Mr. C. This would have been money that he would not have been able to receive if he didn't get his ITIN through Free Tax Prep LA, and he wouldn't have been able to get the Young Child Tax Credit or certain credits if he didn't come to Free Tax Prep LA. So, obtaining an ITIN is essential for individuals in California who don't have a Social Security number. By fulfilling his tax responsibilities, Mr. C is also contributing to his future financial stability and opening doors to other opportunities, like applying for certain loans or even a path to citizenship. Through Free Tax Prep LA, Mr. C was able to meet these obligations without the financial burden of high fees and can now provide more for his family. If we think about it, that $250 that he received from the Cali ITC, that would have been going straight into a paid preparer trying to get an ITIN. So it would have been like he never received that credit at all. And those are the kind of things that we want to avoid here at Free Tax Prep LA. All right, so we're getting close to the end here. We've got some myths about taxes, and we want you to be in the know. You're going to hear things when people talk about taxes, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we want to make sure the truth is heard. So, one, a lot of people believe that they make too little to file. There's a minimum income limit that people put for filing. Usually it's the amount of your standard deduction. However, we want to let you guys know that you are most likely owed a refund and most likely qualify to file for free if you are low income. So even if it's, like we said, zero income, very, very close to zero income to less than 30,000, I would just go ahead and file, especially if you're in California. You may be eligible to receive certain credits and deductions that you weren't aware of. Two, a lot of people think that their tax refund money is income. Refunds are not considered income and do not impact your public benefits. So if you're receiving benefits through the county that are tied to the amount that you're making annually, rest assured that that $10,000 that you could potentially receive from filing your taxes won't impact your public benefits. They don't count as your income, and they cannot contribute to you losing the benefits that you have. So that's very, very important. And then finally, you can't file if you missed a year. A lot of people come in saying, well, I didn't file for 2021 and that money is just gone now. I'm never going to receive it. That's actually not true. Refunds are not, okay. You have up to 3 years to file when you've missed a year. So if you decided, or if you know that you were due a refund, or if your tax preparer is saying that you're most likely owed a refund for the year that you missed, I would go ahead and try and file for that year, regardless, because you may be missing out on certain credits and potentially a refund that you can get interest on, even if you didn't file for that year. So the money is not lost. You have up to 3 years. So if you got in your mind, oh, well, I didn't file for 2023 or 2022, you can still file. You can still potentially get money back with interest. So don't feel like you missed out. You can still get that money. All right. So deadline and important dates. A lot of this is more about the mindset that you should have regarding the deadline. So we don't want you to feel like, oh, I have all the time in the world to file my taxes. We don't want tax season to be stressful for you, but at the same time, we don't want you to be facing the fees that come with filing late. And we just want to make sure you are staying on top of keeping your documents organized so that everything can be, so you can file your taxes smoothly. You don't have to worry about having to make a payment or anything like that. So The tax deadline for those who will get a refund, like I mentioned before, you can claim up to 3 years after the filing deadline. So if you know you're going to get a refund, while it is best to file on time or even early, if you file late and you are owed a refund for that year, the IRS will pay you interest on what they owed you. However, if you are owed a refund and you filed and you didn't file for an extension or anything like that, you will have to pay a fee for filing late. So if you ever feel like what best practice is to file early, be organized, get your appointments earlier than you need to. But if you know that you're not going to be able to make the deadline, file for an extension. File for an extension so you don't have to pay a fee for filing late. That'll help you. Now, the tax deadline for those who are expecting to owe money and will not be receiving a refund, if you don't file on time, you will be charged a penalty for not filing. Not only will you have to pay a late fee for not filing on time, but you will also be charged a fee for not paying what you owe by the deadline. So if you do not file on time and you owe money, you will have interest charged on what was owed. So for each year that you're not paying your tax obligation on what you're owed, you'll accrue interest and you'll have to pay that. Either way, if you know you're going to be late and you know you just can't make the deadline, file for an extension. That's the safest way that you can avoid at least the late filing fee, because we never know, as on top of taxes as we may be, we might think that we're going to get a refund this year. And so it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get a refund. I'll file for an extension so I don't pay a late fee, but I at least won't have to pay anything. It's best practice to just still file early, file before the deadline, because maybe you thought you were going to get a refund, but it turns out you owed taxes. So now you have to pay a penalty for not paying your taxes. Interest is going to be accruing, and we want to avoid that. So best practice, get organized, get your tax documents organized as soon as you receive them, book an appointment as soon as you can, and file early. All right, so now that we've got the mindset on what the deadline, how we should approach the deadline, what is the actual deadline? Well, traditionally, every year the tax deadline is around the 15th of April. And if there's an extension that happens, or if you file for an extension, usually you'll be filing for an extension up to the 15th of October. However, we did recently receive news from LA County that due to the natural disasters and the fires, that people affected will automatically receive the extension to October 15th. So most likely, LA residents are going to have this extension. I urge you, even though we know now that we have a little bit more time to file early so you can get that responsibility off your mind. Life can go on. You can enjoy the next, 8 months past April, not having to worry about your taxes. So extension, we're extended to October 15th, but it's always best to file earlier than you think you need, because sometimes things happen. It's always good to have some wiggle room, have some time to prepare and make sure everything is finished and completed smoothly. All right, so we'll go over the tips for this tax season. 1, collect your tax documents, have a plan, and file early. 2, schedule an appointment with a tax professional as soon as you can. Look for a free tax preparation site. Please do not pay if you are eligible to file for free. 3, IRS delays are expected. Use e-file and direct deposit if you can. Direct deposit, you will just have to give a little bit of your bank account information, but it makes it so that you can receive your refund sometimes within 2 weeks. If you're filing paper and you opt out of direct deposit, it could take months for you to get your refund. I mean, they're going through snail mail. So if you can, opt into the direct deposit and e-file. And then finally, confirm that your tax return was accepted by the IRS and the State of California Franchise Tax Board. There's many ways that you can track your refund, see the status, and just staying on top of it is really, really the best way for you to have some kind of control over what you're receiving. It's really good to stay in the know regardless. All right. I mentioned at the very beginning, Our aim at Free Tax Prep LA is to provide holistic care. So even after you've filed your taxes already, we're not going to just leave you high and dry. Let's say you filed and you received a letter from the IRS that you have a little bit of confusion about. We also provide free legal help. It's through the Low Income Tax Clinic, and it's legal assistance for your IRS or tax filing issues. So the Low Income Taxpayer Clinics, also known as LITC, assist low-income individuals who have a tax dispute with the IRS and provide education and outreach to individuals who speak English as a second language. They can help you understand your tax bill, help you with audits, help you understand your payment plans, offer and compromise. They can help you also if you're in a currently not collectible status and what that means if you're receiving a letter from the IRS. All right. Beyond a Free Tax Prep LA site, there are also other resources. You can just go in person. Many of our sites are walk-in once this tax season starts late January, early February. You can also do your taxes yourself with TaxSlayer, which is more of a, if you feel like you know your taxes and you can do them on your own, there's resources there without having to pay. Those are free. If you'd like to know anything more about Free Tax Prep LA or how to book an appointment or where we're located, you can call us at 323-909-1975, or you can go to www.freetaxprepla.org, and that will help you find information on what we do, the services that we provide, and the locations that we have throughout LA County. All right, so we are here to support you. We're going to kind of address some of the questions in the chat, or if you have any other questions that you would like to input now, definitely go for it. All right. I think we're ready, Lizette. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good, Taylor. Thank you so much. There's a lot of information there.
Yes.
But before we go to the questions, I quickly want to point out that the library here at Central is hosting one of the tax preparation sites. So if any of you are interested in basically coming to Central Library, it's on Saturday, so you don't have to worry about parking, because if you park in the structure underneath the library, it is only $1 for the day. So the site is, again, Saturday, February 8th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please, if you're interested, just send an email to this our department here. I'm posting our email address, and let us know that you want to RSVP an appointment for that day. Okay, there are only, if I'm not mistaken, 16 appointments, and we are currently not doing any walk-ins. So please, again, send an email. All right. So now that we've covered that, we can go to our questions. And let's see, who do we have here? I think I'm going to post Charles, but it looks like we might have answered everything. So Charles said, can you answer all of them? I don't know anything about taxes. And based on Taylor's pretty detailed presentation, I'm going to assume they were answered.
I hope so. If you do have any more specific questions after you've listened to the entire presentation, please let me know. I can try and help you with more specific questions.
Okay, perfect. All right. I'll let Charles, you can also reach out directly to Taylor, by the way, Charles. Her info is right there on that slide. All right. So the next one is, I'm not going to try to pronounce her name and kill it, but her question is, as an American citizen and California resident who lives 6 months in California and 6 months abroad, is she eligible for any tax benefits or credits?
So I think the difficult thing here would actually be proving that you're in one place or another for more than 6 months. I would say as long as you have some kind of proof that you're in America for the federal credits, because you have to be in the US for more than half of the year for the federal credits. And then in California, like if you're paying your utility bills and you can prove that you've been paying them for 6-7 months or more than half the year, then you will be eligible for the tax credits for the state of California, and then federally as well if you're in the US. There is a little bit of wiggle room because it is really hard to exactly prove how long you're in one country or in one state. So definitely come to a free tax or come to a free tax prep LA site so we can kind of figure out the details of that for you. And yeah, that's something that we can help you to when you come into our site. But
perfect. Yeah, because it sounds a little complicated with the federal, state, and then I'm assuming also taxes abroad, which also have to be addressed.
Yes.
So, okay, good. So we're not going to go into more detail, but please come.
Yes. Yes.
And then let's see, we have here one from Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, what are the income requirements, if any, for the education tax credits?
Mm-hmm. So luckily for the education credits, there is no income limit or max income or requirement, as long as you're able to prove for the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is kind of the main one that we want to push people to claim. As long as you're going to school full time, you receive. It's from an accredited institution or university, and you're receiving your 1098 T, that will make you eligible to file and claim the credit. Same thing for the lifetime learning credit. That one is a little bit, you're not going to get an actual form from an accredited union if you're just getting a certification or going part-time, but those are expenses that you can track and you can claim as long as you have some proof that you have like the certification or anything. So there's no income limit and you can continue to claim that.
Okay, perfect. Because if I'm in my 60s or 70s, I want to make sure I still get that.
Yes.
It's still available.
Yes.
All right. Let's see now. And then there's another additional question. I believe here. Let's see here. It's again from Suzanne. Also for the Mr. C scenario where his ITIN application fee was waived, was the fee deducted from the credits he earned?
So there is no actual ITIN application fee. This fee is what a paid taxpayer might charge you to go to them to file for your ITIN. If actually filing for your application, for your ITIN application or renewal, should not be any charge to you if you're going to a free tax prep LA site, or if you're going to, like, if you go straight to the IRS and you want to apply for an ITIN through the office, they're not going to charge you money to apply for that. It's the paid preparers that are trying to make money off of you trying to get an ITIN. That's where the fee is incurred. So if you go to a free tax prep LA site, there will be no fee. There's nothing that's deducted from the credits that you earned. We just wanted to, for Mr. C scenario, we just wanted to let you know that if he had gone to a paid preparer and paid $200, $300 for the preparer to help him apply, the credit that he earned from having an ITIN, so he was able to be eligible for the California Earned Income Tax Credit because he had an ITIN, that credit he received would have been the same amount that he used to pay the paid preparer to even receive an ITIN. So we want you to avoid paying someone because that will take away from the credits that you earn. If you go to a free tax prep LA site, you would get the full amount of your credit without ever having to pay someone to get that. So that was the main. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Basically, you don't want to pay anything at all.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to. You really don't. So. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we have another question again here. Let me post it. Is the free tax prep available to low-income people exclusively?
So there are different technologies that you can use, and our income limits differ. But for the Free Tax Prep LA Collaborative, collectively our income limit is $67,000. There are free tax prep free taxes online or through IRS Direct File, which is a new free tax filing program straight through the IRS. They will have different income limits where you can file for free through them if you have, let's say, maybe it's up to $80,000 for them. So in that situation, you would have to do a little more of the like uploading your documents, actually knowing how to file your taxes, and they'll have a higher income limit. For Free Tax Prep LA, however, and our locations, the free tax prep is available if you make less than $67,000. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right, because I think last year was 64,000, so it
Yes.
went up a little, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, but this one popped up of interest because I was intrigued.
Mhm.
And can anybody apply for the EITC for both federal and state?
So the EITC, you're going to have a social security number for you and everyone on your tax return. However, if that does apply to you, if you have a valid social security number and you want to file for the EITC, as long as you if you want to claim both the state side and the federal side, then your maximum income would be $32,000, around there.
Oh, okay.
However, if you just want to get the federal side, your income limit will be, depending on the qualifying children and your filing status, your actual max income limit can be up to, like we said, like 65 to 69,000. But if you do make that amount, you won't be eligible for the state side. So there's a little bit of different income requirements. As long as you have a social for your for the federal side, you'll be able to be eligible for the state side, a social or an ITIN, and income less than 32,000.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about the social or the ITIN. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I'm sure the other one, you can use either one.
Right. Yeah.
Or you need either one.
Right.
Okay, so we are now past our times, but so thank you for all of you who have been here with us all the way to all these interesting questions, very important questions. So again, I will just make a note again for all of you, or for those of you who weren't, got distracted. Again, the library here will be hosting a tax filing preparation on, again, Saturday, February 8th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the comments box, I basically put in the department that you are. If you're interested, please email the department, which is business@lapl.org, if you want to save a spot for that day. But as Taylor mentioned, I believe KYCC will also be hosting some of these test prep clinics, including with, if you need any assistance, you can call our department as well. And we will use the IRS website to find any of those clinic sites for you based on your zip code. What else am I forgetting? Okay, I think I got everything. Unless you want to add anything, Taylor, on your end.
No, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, wait, I was forgetting something. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, here is the last thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the program that that it was being recorded, but for those of you who might have missed it, again, it is being recorded. And once I click end stream on my end, the program will automatically be available to you on our library's YouTube channel. So please go ahead. Again, there was a lot of information being presented. Just go back, look at it. You don't have to hear, well, actually, I'm only at the beginning. So you don't have to hear me speak at all. You can just basically forward to the areas of interest that Taylor basically pointed out to you. And that's pretty much it on my end. I don't know, Taylor, if you have anything else to add.
I hope you guys stay safe, wear your masks, and I look forward to seeing you Saturday, the 8th at LA Public Library to file your taxes for free for you.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you all for participating. Thank you so much, Taylor, again, for all this amazing information. And we'll see you on the 8th if you save a spot. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.